Hello and welcome. In this lesson, you're going to learn how to use the simple present tense in English. The simple present tense is one of the most important tenses because we use it every day. We use it to talk about habits, routines, facts, general truths, and long-term situations. For example, I live in Canada. She works in an office. They study English. The sun rises in the east. These sentences are not talking about one single moment. They're talking about things that are true now, things that happen regularly, or things that are generally true. Okay? We use the simple present tense in three common ways. First, we use it for habits and routines. For example, I wake up at 7 o'clock, or she goes to school every day. They play soccer on weekends. These actions happen regularly. Second, we use it for facts and general truths. As an example, water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. The Earth goes round the sun. Toronto is in Canada. These things are generally true. And third, we use it for long-term situations, such as I live in Toronto, or he works for a shipping company, or she studies English. These situations are true now and may continue for some time. Now let's look at how we form the simple present. With I, you, we, and they, we use the base form of the verb. The base form is the simple form of the verb. Work, live, study, speak, eat, go. Okay? I work, you work. They work. I live in Canada. You live in Canada. We live in Canada. They live in Canada. Notice that the verb does not change after I, you, we, or they. Now, let's look at he, she, and it. With he, she, and it, we usually add s or es to the verb. For example, I work, he works. You speak, she speaks. They live, it lives. Okay? He works every day. She speaks English. It looks good. He lives in Toronto. She likes coffee. This is one of the most important rules for this. With he, she, and it, add s or es to the verb. Okay? Now, let's look at a couple of spelling rules. Most verbs just simply add s to the end. Okay? Work becomes work, works. Live becomes lives. Speak becomes speaks. Eat becomes eats. So we say, he works, she lives here, it eats food. Some verbs add es, and we usually add es to verbs that end in s, sh, ch, x, or o. For example, watch becomes watches. Go becomes goes. Do becomes does. Fix becomes fixes. Wash becomes washes. So we say he watches TV. She goes to school. He does his homework. Now let's look at verbs ending in y. Okay? If the verb ends in a consonant, plus y, we change y to IES. For example, study becomes studies. Try becomes tries. Carry becomes carries. So we say, she studies English. He tries hard. But if the verb ends in a vowel plus y, we only add s, okay? For example, play becomes plays. Say becomes says, okay? Enjoy becomes enjoys. So we say, he plays soccer. She enjoys the lesson. Now, negative sentences we can also make. A negative sentence tells us that something is not true or does not happen. So with I, you, and we, and they, we use do not or don't. For example, I don't work on Sunday. You don't live here. Okay? We don't speak French. They don't eat meat. With he, she, and it, we use does not or doesn't. For example, he doesn't work on Sunday. She doesn't live here. It doesn't look good. Here is an important rule. When we use doesn't, we do not add s to the main verb, okay? So the correct way to say this is he doesn't work. She doesn't speak English. It doesn't rain much here. The incorrect way would be he doesn't works, okay? She doesn't speaks English. It doesn't rains much here. See how that sounds wrong? The S is already in the word does, so the main verb stays in the base form, okay? Remember, he works, he doesn't work. She speaks, she doesn't speak, okay? So now let's learn how to ask questions, okay? With I, you, we, and they, we use do at the beginning of the question. Here's an example. Do you speak English? Do we have a class today? Do they live here? With he, she, and it, we use does at the beginning of the question. For example, does he work here? Does it cost a lot? Again, after does, the main verb stays in the base form. So the correct way is, does she work here? The incorrect way is, does she works here? Learn how to distinguish between those two short sentences. One is correct, one is incorrect. Does he speak English? Does he speaks English is incorrect, okay? Short answers are also very common in spoken English. If someone asks, do you speak English? You can answer, yes, I do. No, I don't. If someone asks, do they live here? You can answer, yes, they do. Or no, they don't. Now with he, she, and it, might be, does he work here? Yes, he does. No, he doesn't. Does she like coffee? Yes, she does. No, she doesn't. Okay? We often use the simple present with frequency words. Frequency means how often something happens. Common frequency words include always, usually, often, sometimes, rarely, never. For example, I always drink coffee in the morning. She usually takes the bus. They often play soccer. He never eats breakfast. We also use expressions like every day, every week, every morning, on Mondays, at night. I study English every day. She works on Mondays. They visit their family every week. These words help show that the action happens regularly. Usually, frequency words come before the main verb. For example, I always study English. She usually drinks tea. They often go to the park. But with the verb to be, the frequency word usually comes after the verb. For example, I am always busy. She is usually happy. They are often late. The verb to be is sort of special. The forms are I am, you are, he is, she is, it is, we are, they are. For example, I am a student. You are ready. He is tired. She is a teacher. It is cold. We are happy. They are at home. For negative sentences, we add not. Okay? I am not tired. You are not late. He is not ready. She is not here. They are not students. In speaking, we can also use contractions. Instead of saying you are not late, you can say you aren't late. He isn't ready. She isn't here. They aren't students. So questions with to be are a little bit different. We do not use do or does. Instead, we move the verb to be before the subject. For example, you are ready becomes are you ready? He is a student becomes is he a student? They are at home becomes are they at home? You would not say do you are ready. You would say are you ready? Okay? So now let's practice. Okay, I want you to choose the correct answer. I English every day. Okay? The answer is I study English every day. Okay? Now, she English every day. The correct answer here is she studies English every day. Now, they in Toronto. The answer is they live in Toronto. Now, he in Toronto. The answer is he lives in Toronto. So now let's make a negative sentence. She works on Sunday. Okay? The negative form is she doesn't work on Sunday. Okay? We can also make a question. They speak English. And the question would be, do they speak English? Okay? Or he speaks English. You could change to, does he speak English? Okay? Some common mistakes, there's a few. Okay? Number one is forgetting the S with he, she, and it. Okay, the incorrect way to say it would be he work every day. Okay, she speak English. Okay, the correct way to say these would be he works every day, or she speaks English. Mistake number 2 is adding S after does. Okay, remember we learned that you don't need to because the S is already in the does. Okay, does he works here? She doesn't likes coffee. The correct way to say this would be does he work here? Or she doesn't like coffee. Mistake number 3 is using do with the verb to be. Okay, the incorrect way to say it would be do you are ready? Does she is happy? Okay, obviously the correct way to say this is different. It would be are you ready? Or is she happy? Okay? So let's do a review of what we use the simple present for. Habits, routines, facts, general truths, and long-term situations. With I, you, we, and they, use the base form. I work, you study, they speak English, we live here. With he, she, and it, add s or es. Okay? He works, she studies, it goes. For negatives, use don't or doesn't. For example, I don't work on Sunday. She doesn't work on Sunday. For questions, use do or does. For example, do you speak English? Does he speak English? And remember, with the verb to be, do not use do or does. Say, are you ready? Is she happy? The simple present tense is one of the most useful tenses in English. When you understand it well, you can talk about your life, your routines, your work, your studies, and many everyday facts clearly and correctly. Thanks for watching.